really interested in what's going on with Acucardia. As Jerry mentioned, this is a HITLAB validated platform and making massive inroads with taking data that previously had not been touched by AI and now really making it much more impactful by using their platform to interrogate it. But let's start off and talk a little bit about you first. The audience would love to meet you a little bit and get to know your background. If you could give us a 1 minute background and profile on yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Stan, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Yep. Hey, excellent. Yeah, my name is Nav Razvi. I'm the Chief Medical Officer of Acucardia. I am a practicing cardiologist in England, and I've been the Chief Medical Officer for Acucardia since startup for about 10 years. So we've worked with HITLAB on projects in the past and collaborated with some of your symposiums as well. So this is my first one. So it's exciting to be here. It's great to meet you again and talk about pharmacy and AI and cardiology as well.
It's wonderful. And tell us a little bit about, again, another minute or so about the platform itself and how it's really breaking through in areas that we never would have imagined 3 years ago.
Yeah, sure. So Acucardia is an ECG company. It's agnostic in terms of devices. So as opposed to other people you might have heard of who do hardware or who do ECG signals on a device, we are software. So we can take any kind of ECG signal into our engine, and then it provides an analysis and readout. So we have FDA approved products currently in the market for remote patient monitoring via Holter or MCT. So this is our kind of regular product. So this can ingest ECG data from anywhere and give you an analysis. So that's a kind of main consumer kind of product. But we also have a lot of AI-driven novel use case products out there. So this takes ECG reads and can give you a signal prediction for things like aortic stenosis or hyperkalemia. So these are our two big research products at the moment where we've presented in meetings. We got meetings in the European Society of Cardiology coming up where we're presenting some of our latest data, as well as the AHA last year. So that's all out there on the internet if you wanted to look up that stuff. And we've done previous work on QT as well with HITLAB. So that's more useful for in this domain for just kind of drug monitoring and side effects. And we'll touch on that later in the questions.
Yeah, let's dive into that again. I think talk a little bit about how the Acucardia platform is improving drug safety, medication management, and overall accessibility and outcomes for patients.
So the Acucardia platform records the ECG signals and gives you an output around the ECG and monitoring. For things like drug safety and things, we're touching on AI. What the Acucardia platform will be very good at is ingesting all manner of data. So with all the proliferation of wearable tech out there, so you've got your watches and you've got your rings and you've got sensors in many things. So you've got so much different data now in the community. And the paradigm of healthcare has changed, whereas before you might get data episodically from a consult or from a hospital visit. Now there is data being generated almost continuously in every setting. So patients at home, people at home are getting data. And what do you do with that data? So your regular clinician is going to be inundated with that and overwhelmed. So things like our platform can ingest that data and give you a meaningful output. So we can ingest a range of ECG at any duration and give you a summarized breakdown of what that means and make it clinically useful to advance patient care.
That's absolutely amazing. And I think that's where we're seeing AI make the biggest difference. And obviously, the HITLAB validation study that we did on Acucardia showed just how high the efficacy was. So we've got about a minute or two left. If you could talk to the audience about where the future of this is going. What is the future of AI going to look like for what Acucardia is doing, and where is the future of the impact of Acucardia going to go?
Well, that's a huge question, isn't it? So, the future is exciting. The future is broad. It's making all of this data useful. So, if we take it out of take it into a more kind of clinical perspective. So, as a cardiologist, if we look at the main big kind of cardiovascular diseases with a bigger kind of pharmacy or medication oversight, where you need, so you've got hypertension, you've got heart failure, you've got atrial fibrillation, and AI now can bring all of that into focus. So some of the technology or some of the things that we can do, so we can screen electronic health records, so we can go looking for disease where it was hidden before. So we've got arrangements where you can screen a tranche of data, so data embedded in the health records, historical data, and pick up ECG diagnoses where it was missed by perhaps individual clinicians or individual operators. So disease findings, so things like AF, atrial fibrillation, that provides a health benefit. So if you find these patients and treat them, then you're avoiding the downstream risk of strokes and heart failure and earlier mortality. So that's one of the things that we can already do in Acucardia. Other diseases, so if we're coming back into the AI spectrum and a little bit away from perhaps what we do directly, but look at all the other sensors out there. So what you want your AI to do is to make it clinically usable. So you've got lots of different data, you've got lots of different devices, but something to integrate that. So things like heart failure, where one device might see a change in weight, another one might see a change in heart rate. You might see a change in your patient's activity with the number of steps they're taking, and all of that adds up to perhaps deterioration or the patient falling off from their heart failure control. So your AI could signal process all of that together and give you an alert sooner than the patient pitching up in hospital in a worse off state. So all of this is exciting for the future, bringing these technologies together in one space to make it helpful and useful for the patient to protect them from being in hospital, to catch the disease earlier or catch disease where it was missed before. So there's some kind of examples and broader AI and how we want to use that. But in Acucardia ourselves, so we're some of the things that we've done. So like our aortic stenosis model, we've got the ECG as a screening tool. So now we can pick up or have a propensity score for aortic stenosis from the ECG. So in communities where you do not have access to things like echo, or there's half the counties in the US do not have a cardiologist. So your ECG signal can give you a risk of aortic stenosis to then triage your patients to find the guys who might need treatment before things get too bad or before you see that mortality creep in.
That's wonderful. Well, again, greatly appreciate the tremendous work that you and your teammates are doing with Acucardia. Again, anyone who is interested in working with Acucardia, take a look at the chat. You'll see their LinkedIn there, and certainly contact them directly. Thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you, Sam. It's good to be there.